Everyone chases viral views, thinking a million views means a boatload of money. But here's the brutal truth. Views do not equate to revenue. What does drive revenue is the right attention from your target audience. How do I know this? Well, I'm Akash Damodaran, founder of UNI Media, and in the past 4 years, we have helped clients like Sennheiser, Google, WaterAid, Intuit, and over 15 seven-figure personal brands turn content into predictable revenue with a solid content strategy. And throughout my experience building this company, I've worked with brands that hit 500,000 views with barely any ROI, while niche videos with just 5K targeted views drove 6-figure pipelines. And one such example is my client Emma, who made $24,000 in 4 months, all with less than 8,000 followers. Let that sink in. It's $24,000 in 4 months with less than 8,000 followers. And so today I'll show you why going viral can actually kill your brand and business, and how to flip the script for real sustainable growth. And by the end of this deep dive, you'll become an expert on not working for the algorithm, but on making the algorithm work for you. Before we dive in, grab your free Media Machine Starter Pack, a 30-day content calendar and engine blueprint that maps out how to easily turn ideas into profitable targeted videos and posts. Comment calendar below to access it. Let's start with the biggest myth in content, the idea that views equal money. There are 2 types of creators in this world. The first type are the view chasers. They're the ones chasing vanity metrics, chasing virality, hoping that if they get enough eyeballs, the money will somehow magically show up. They basically equate attention with money. But it's logical to think that if you get viral views on a particular video, then the type of audience watching are also varied. And so while it might help with getting views, it isn't a good strategy to make money. The second type are the revenue makers. They don't care if their video gets 2,000 views or 2 million views. What they really care about are whether those views came from the right people and whether those views convert into dollars. Now here's the kicker. If you're serious about building a sustainable, profitable business, you absolutely cannot be in the first group. You just cannot be chasing viral growth, because virality is unpredictable, it's unsustainable. It's like buying lottery tickets. You might win once, but it won't build your business. And this is because views alone are meaningless. I mean, you can't deposit views into your bank account. Everyone wants virality because it looks glamorous. And so the big takeaway here is views do not equal money, and attention from the wrong audience does not equate to sales. And when you create to please everyone, by definition, you end up pleasing no one. Hence, it's not about how many people watch you, it's about who's watching you. Let me give you a visual that'll change how you think about content forever. Imagine a giant circle, and inside that circle is literally everyone who's on YouTube or any platform for that matter. But I'll take YouTube as the example in this video to keep things simple. When you create content that's designed to go viral, you're essentially spraying your message across that entire circle. You're trying to appeal to everyone. Or as illustrated here, right at the middle. You're speaking to everyone, which means you're really speaking to no one. But the real money is made when you stop chasing the whole circle and instead start focusing on just one tiny slice. So keeping that in mind, let's break the circle into slices like a pie. Each slice represents a specific interest or niche or segment. And that slice is your ideal customer or target audience. And as you move out to the edge of each slice, you find people who are highly invested, highly aware, and very entrenched in that niche or segment. And that's where your ideal customers live. And here's why this matters. If you cater to the whole circle, your views might inflate into the millions, but your conversion rate tanks because your audience is scattered. But if you focus on one thin slice, even if it's small, you create content so specific, so targeted, that your engagement, retention, and conversion skyrocket. Because think about it this way, the people who you're speaking to are already aware of this topic or are interested in this topic, and so they'll spend more time watching your videos. Let's actually make this concrete. Say you're in the health space. The outer circle in this case would be healthy eating. That's massive, millions of people, it's just too broad. Go one layer in and there are vegetarian diets. Smaller but still kind of broad. Go deeper and then there are vegan diets. It's narrower and more specific. And at the core of it, vegan plus gluten-free diets. That is your sweet spot. The pie slice is smaller but the pain points are sharper. These people are desperate for solutions that match their exact lifestyle. Because the more specific you get, the more urgent and relatable their problems become. And the more relatable and urgent their problems are, the more they're willing to pay for solutions. And that's where the actual money lies, in the smallest slice of the pie. Here's another example to drive this home. I could easily sit here and label this video Content Marketing 101. I mean, that's broad, generic, and sure, maybe it might get a few extra clicks. But here's the thing, that would completely miss the point. Because I'm not talking to everyone on YouTube who wants to learn marketing basics. That's too wide of a circle. I'm specifically talking to founders of companies, CMOs, or marketing leads who have budgets and decision-making power, or even individuals who are building profitable personal brands. That's my ICP. That's who UNI Media is built for. And it's the same for your business too. The fewer personas you chase, the sharper your targeting becomes, and the sharper you're targeting, the better the algorithm can actually find the right people for you. See, algorithms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, they already know your audience better than you do. Your job is not to trick the algorithm, but instead your job is to create content so clearly for your ICP that the algorithm goes, oh, this is exactly for this type of person. Let me go and find 1,000 more of them. Because if you can show up consistently and provide value to that particular audience, the algorithm starts working for you. It recognizes who engages with your content and finds more people just like them. And so this means we don't try to capture anyone and everyone. We create for the people who are already in pain, who already understand the space, and who are actively looking for help. That's the actual shift. You're no longer chasing the algorithm is chasing the right audience on your behalf. That's the real unlock. Let me repeat that once again. You're not working for the algorithm anymore. It is working for you. And this is exactly how we build profitable content strategies. And here's the thing. Once you've nailed down your audience, you need a system to consistently show up for them without burning out. And that's where the 30-day content calendar and engine blueprint comes in. It literally gives you a simple way to plan content that speaks directly to your ideal customer or your ICP. So if you want that, comment calendar below and I'll send it straight to you. You know, we actually jumped ahead and we didn't talk about what you need to do before thinking about content itself. You need to get really clear about the value you're providing as well as the exact person you're trying to target. And listen, if you already have a business, chances are you have at least talked to your customers. You know their frustrations, you know what keeps them up at night, but if you haven't, if you're still vague on who your customer is, pause. Like, don't create content yet. Don't start thinking about marketing. I say this as someone who's seen dozens of businesses waste months posting random videos and spend ridiculous budgets on marketing, and none of it went anywhere. Just remember that content without clarity is just noise. So before you record a single video, sit down and answer. Who is my exact audience? What is their zero state? What's their hero state? That is business 101, it's product 101. Content is simply a distribution channel. If you don't know who you're serving, your content will never land. So I just want to reiterate, before you hit record, before you start thinking about ads, before you start thinking about marketing strategies, you need clarity on 3 things. Who's your market of one? The exact persona you want to serve. What's their zero state? You know, what are the pains, frustrations, and challenges they're living with today? And what's their hero state? Like, what transformation do you think that you can deliver that'll get them there? If you don't know that, you don't have a marketing strategy, you don't have a content strategy, you don't even have a business strategy. So get that right first and everything else flows from there. Once you're clear on those, content becomes a tool to bridge the gap. Without it, like I mentioned earlier, you're just creating noise. And then this ties into what we discussed earlier about how to target your audience from that circle of audience example. Now, let's connect this to how people actually move through your content world. So there are basically 2 ways to think about this. The first is, imagine a funnel. At the very top are complete strangers, basically cold leads. They don't know you and they basically don't trust you. Let's actually revisit that circle example and imagine cutting out one slice. That slice becomes your funnel. At the very edge are cold leads, strangers who have never heard of you. As they spend more time with your content, they move inward, becoming warm leads and then hot leads. And at the very bottom are your buyers. You can think about this whole thing as them spending time with you or your brand and getting to know your brand or you in the process. Let me reiterate this in a different way. The more they spend time with your content, the warmer they get. They start recognizing your face, your brand, your voice. They see the value. Eventually, some of them become hot leads, and that's the group with the highest odds of buying from you, because by now you've built trust, authority, and resonance. Yeah, so this is one way to visualize it. The second way is this. Don't just think about nurturing people already in your funnel. Think about finding new people in your exact segment and getting them into the funnel in the first place. Like, both matter. One is about deepening trust, the other is about expanding your reach and finding your audience or expanding your audience in the process. Together, they're how you turn strangers into superfans and superfans into paying customers. This is actually how you should be thinking about virality, not as global virality, but as on-target virality. On-target virality means you may never get 1 million views, you might only get 2,000, but if it's 2,000 people in your exact segment watching, engaging, and taking action, that's infinitely more valuable than 1 million random people scrolling past your content. And so if you find the right people, retention goes up, engagement goes up, comments, DMs, and yes, even sales go up. That's the compounding power of targeting one slice. Now, this whole thing might feel overwhelming, keeping track of where people are in your funnel, making sure your content aligns with each stage and whatnot. And that's exactly why I created the Media Machine Starter Pack. It's a 30-day content calendar plus engine blueprint that shows you how to cover cold, warm, and hot audiences every single month without overthinking and burning out. Just comment calendar and I'll get it over to you. Let's get really practical here. Say you're creating 8 YouTube videos per month. Here's a simple ratio you want to stick to. 0 videos in the generic viral for everyone bucket. Skip it completely and don't waste time on broad healthy eating type videos. 2 videos targeting the perimeter of your niche. These are exploratory topics that bring in adjacent audiences. For example, vegetarian diets instead of just vegan plus gluten free. And 3 videos in the evergreen, personal or brand building layer. These nurture people who already know you and want more value. And 3 videos laser focused on your core audience's deepest pain points. These are highly specific, highly targeted, and get people to really understand what your channel is about. Now, sometimes you can play with the ratio and do 4 evergreen and 2 core videos, but the key is this. At least 25% of your videos must sit in that outer perimeter layer. That's what brings in new discovery while still being aligned with your ICP. This exact ratio is what actually keeps your growth balanced, with new leads coming in, existing leads being nurtured, and your core audience moving towards a purchase. Basically a healthy mix of nurturing and converting. And allow me to emphasize this point about generic content. From a YouTube algorithm standpoint, if you create generic content, the algorithm has no idea who to serve it to. You get random scattered views. Yes, your numbers look bigger on paper, but they're all hollow. The algorithm is literally confused about who you're for, and when the algorithm is confused, it won't double down on showing your content to the right people. So the ratio I gave you isn't just about strategy, it's about training the algorithm. You're feeding it consistent signals. This kind of content is for X type of person, go find me more. And this is why you need to produce 0 generic videos. 0. I can understand how you might look at some other channel in your space and you see some video or topic that's gone viral and you're just thinking, maybe I should give that a try. Don't do it, because like I said earlier, you don't want to confuse the algorithm. And this is basically how you make the algorithm work for you consistently and help build trust with your audience. And that's a good segue into Google's 7-11-4 rule. But before we dive into this, if all of this feels like it's a lot to juggle, with strategy, audience targeting, video ideas, publishing cadence, thumbnails, analytics, performance and whatnot, you're not wrong. It is a lot. I personally had this challenge while scaling my personal brand and my businesses too. And that's exactly why we've had so many founders, CMOs and leaders tell us, we just want UNI Media to handle it end to end. And if that's you, we're currently opening up just 2 more client spots where we become your personal media house. This means we take care of everything end to end. And on top of that, we're running a promo too. When you sign up right now and skip the call, we'll actually credit you $500 back on your first month and we'll just kick things off immediately. But if you do prefer to chat first, you can still set up a call with our team. Links to both of these are in the description below. Okay, back to trust and Google's 7-11-4 rule. Now let's talk about something a lot of agencies and people ignore: trust. One of the most important truths in marketing is people only buy from people they trust. So Google ran a study called the 7-11-4 rule, and here's what it says. For someone to trust you enough to buy from you, they need to spend at least 7 hours with you across 11 different touch points on 4 different platforms or mediums. Think about that for a second. You don't buy from someone after seeing them once. You buy after you've spent time with them, you've heard their story, you've gotten value from them, and in that process you build trust. And this is why trust beats virality every single time. With virality, you're spread thin. But on the flip side, with trust, you build depth. And when you have depth, your content isn't just content. It becomes a bridge to real business outcomes. And the fastest way to build trust is to give value for free. It's like what Alex Hormozy says: give away the secrets and sell the implementation. When you give away real actionable insights, people lean in. They feel the reciprocity bias kick in and they feel like they owe you something, because you've already given them so much. And if you think about it, that's how referrals happen and that's how communities are built. This is the same way Emma, the client I mentioned earlier, made $24,000. She didn't go viral, she actually built trust. She gave her audience real value consistently across multiple touch points. And when the offer came, they were ready. And to be honest, personally, I've benefited off this too. I was consistently publishing my video podcast back in 2021, and it eventually built trust with my audience, blew up, and went on to be ranked in the top 2% globally. And because I was consistently publishing and showing up, numerous clients reached out for help with their podcast too. And that's honestly how UNI Media was born. And so I didn't have to prove my mettle or skill set to any of these clients because the proof was in the pudding. And by pudding, I mean on Spotify and YouTube. Talking about YouTube, let's talk about improve your odds. Alignment, value, referrals, positioning. Now, apart from ratios, here are a few other principles you must lock in. Alignment. Every single video must tie back to your audience or one in some way. If it doesn't, don't publish it. Don't even proceed with thinking about it, scripting, editing, nothing. Next, there's value. Your content must educate, inspire, or entertain. Ideally, all three. The more value you give, the more trust you build. And in this case, don't hold back on giving away value. Like I mentioned earlier, and like what Alex Hormozy says, give away the secrets and sell the implementation. And so I mentioned reciprocity bias before, but basically human psychology says when someone gives you a ton of value for free, you feel an unconscious urge to give something back, whether that's attention, a share, or even a purchase. Next, referrals. Think of your content like a referral engine. You want people so blown away that they can't help but share it with someone else in the circle who has the same pain point. For example, going back to what I mentioned earlier in the video, if I create a killer piece of content on gluten-free vegan diets, my goal is that one person who follows it says to another vegan gluten-free friend that, hey, you've got to check this video out. That is organic distribution at its finest. Finally, positioning. You need to speak from a first-person perspective, even if you're a corporate brand. Share stories, share mistakes, share wins. People at the end of the day relate to other people or humans and not faceless companies. And also people hate being told what to do and given unsolicited advice. So don't preach, don't dictate, and instead share yours or your brand's experiences. That's what builds relatability, and relatability builds trust, and trust, like we had discussed earlier, actually builds sales. Alright, so we have covered a lot today, from why virality fails you to how to build on-target profitable content. But here's my challenge to you. Don't just listen, put this into practice. The easiest way to start is with the 30-day content calendar and engine blueprint. It's free and it'll map out your first 30 days of on-target content so you can implement everything we talked about today. Comment calendar right now and I'll send it to you. So let's recap what all we touched on in this video. Views do not equate to revenue, the right attention does. Chasing virality scatters your audience and kills your brand. The money lives in the smallest slice of the audience pie. The algorithm should work for you, not the other way around. And trust is built with time, touch points, and value, not with one viral hit. So that's basically the playbook. That's how you avoid the viral trap, still grow your audience, and build a profitable brand. If you or your team would rather not spend months trying to figure out all of this yourself, that's literally why we exist. That's why UNI Media exists. We become your personal media house. From strategy to shooting guidance to editing, publishing, analytics, titles, thumbnails, even platform-specific pivots handled end-to-end. We're currently filling 2 more client spots this quarter, like I mentioned earlier. And here's the kicker. If you're sold on what we can do and you'd like to get started right away, then we'll give you $500 credited back on your first month. $500 discount for skipping the call and paying directly. No delays, no back and forth, and we get started right away. But if you're the kind of person who still needs to chat and talk about details, that's fine too. Book a call with us and we'll walk you through everything. The links to do both are in the description below. So that's it. You now know why chasing virality can actually kill your brand and how focusing on the right audience segment is what really drives revenue. But here's the thing. We have only scratched the surface. Because once you know who your audience is, the next big question becomes, how do you actually turn that attention into paying customers? And the answer most people jump to is ads. It's definitely not ads and it's not random views. It's building a content strategy that acts like a machine, consistently attracting, nurturing, and converting the right people from day one. That's exactly what I cover in my next deep dive, the only content strategy workshop every business and brand will ever need. It's basically the full blueprint for turning your content into customers. Thanks for watching and I'll see you, well, probably here.